college admission secrets.
What's up, everyone? Coach Tony here. Welcome back to our weekly training here in our UC Admission Secrets. Last week, we couldn't get a training in. I was laying in bed, stuck, headache, everything galore. It was flu season. I think our whole team kind of got it in different rounds as well. But I'm feeling way better as well. I just have this little cough. So if I cough throughout the training, I apologize for that. But welcome, everyone. For those who are new, what's up? My name is Coach Tony. I'm your UC Admissions expert and the host of this UC Admissions Secrets Facebook group. Every single Tuesday, I go live and we teach you guys something cool on these trainings. For those like, why should I listen to this guy yelling at me through the screen? I actually graduated from UC Berkeley, and after I graduated, during my time, I worked with the Office of Undergraduate Admissions, meaning I worked with them a lot of the outreach and recruitment capacities. When I graduated, they're like, hey, Coach Tony, do you want to be a reader with us? So what readers are? Readers read applications and they help recommend, yes, take this student. They recommend, no, do not take this student. I did that at Berkeley for multiple years, read over 20,000 applications. During my time there, I helped kind of shape the next few years of the freshman classes of that school. But then you start to understand like, hey, I see that a lot of the yes kids kind of have this in common. A lot of the no kids have this in common. So I pretty much took that knowledge and kind of see how can I help out more families with this. So for the past 15 years, right, this is we just crossed the 15-year mark, so I can officially say it. For the last 15 years, we've been helping families with the college admissions process, get students into all their top schools. This group is the UC specific group. So we do help students get into a lot of UCLA folks, a lot of UC Berkeley folks, but we also help students get into all the other top schools, think private schools, USC, Stanford, Chapman, also a lot of the other big school, out of state, Ivies. So that's pretty much what this call is here. So for all of our new friends, welcome. Super excited to chat with you guys. Let me go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. And the train for today is a sneak peek into a UCLA and UC Berkeley admits application. One of our recent students, she got into both of these schools. So I actually have her app here. And then if it's okay with you guys, I'll love to kind of break it down, share with you kind of what she did, what we helped her with on her app that you guys can take and apply back to your kids, guys. That's the whole goal. Our goal is to help everyone win big in this program there. Time to go into training mode. I'm going to give you an actual sneak peek of what a student who got into UCLA and Berkeley had on her application. This is literally like exactly what she had. So it's one of those really cool trainings. So with this student, who is this student first? So some of you guys may or may not know her. Her name is Chloe. She's actually an out-of-state student. So you guys know that in-state, a lot of you guys are in California. So you guys are competing against like California students, which again, there's 82% of seats are saved for California students. The last 18% of seats are reserved usually for out-of-state international students. She was fighting for a tiny spot compared to the bigger pool that California residents did. So she was an out-of-state student from New York. She met me. She told me, Coach Tony, my goal since I was a little girl is to get into UCLA. Can you help me get there? And then we're like, let's do it. And so we didn't get her into UCLA. We got her into UCLA and UC Berkeley and a few other students as well, and a few other schools. She got into all 6 of her UCs, and she also got into a lot of her private schools, and she got into the Ivy. She's currently at Cornell right now. She's studying to be a doctor, like a lot of our students are. So today, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and just break down her activities and her PIQs for you guys, if that's okay. So you guys can see what it is. Again, the whole goal of this thing is not to replicate who she is, because that's not who your kids are, right? Your kids aren't her. These activities and these PIQs, I'll talk about the thinking process, why we recommended her do certain things and kind of why she did the certain things, and more importantly, how you share it. So for a lot of our seniors right now, 2024 and the upcoming 2025, this is how you think about writing these on your application itself, okay? Usually I share my notes with you guys, but because of the stuff, yeah, I'm literally just copying her app in here. Feel free to take notes, screenshots if you want, and all that fun stuff. So first off, her activities, right? So with the activity section for the UC app, there's 20 activities you can put. Unlike the common app, order does not matter. So the order does not matter. You can put whatever order you want. At the end of the day, they're going to go ahead and rearrange it to make it sense for the UC readers anyway. That's why the order doesn't really matter. So for her, you'll see some of the activities are kind of, I think she did put it in order for us to read. But again, again, did she put in an exact order? Maybe, maybe not. It doesn't really have to be this order either. Okay. First thing, name of the award. Her first award is MSKCC Radiology, given back to NYC, honorable mention. Whoa, that's a long name for an award. That's probably not the whole award, right? If you guys notice, the award is called this first part. She snuck in an honorable mention. So here's another little secret pro tip for you guys. Coming from a former reader, everything you put on your application, the reader will read and they will consider. This is the secret things not a lot of students know is that in the title of the awards or title of the activities, there's a lot of space, right? It's a lot of space for you to use. And you'll see that these little blurbs later on to the requirements, what did you do, the description, they only give you so many characters that you're like, oh no, I want to share more, but I don't have the space to share more. Again, if you share it, the readers will acknowledge it and will consider that in their reading process. So what we had with her, usually people say honorable mention down here in the requirements or what you do to earn the awards. What we had her do, like, let's sneak that into the name of the awards. And you'll see that's kind of what she kind of did throughout the app. So again, a little pro tip for students. If you run out of characters, it's more like characters, not really words. When you run out of characters in the other section, feel free to see if your title allows you to add a few things in there. Usually positions, titles, right? That's a good place to kind of put a lot of these things up there. Right? You'll see that all the activities kind of ask for certain things. Again, I don't want to reveal all the tricks for everyone. You'll see that we kind of hid like half of it. It's still a mystery for you guys there. With the level of recognition, again, is asking is what levels? Is this a school level award, a state, a national, international, world, this and that? A type of is it an academic award, is it a non-academic award, what grade did you get it? There could be multiple as well. When it asks you for the requirements, right? So a lot of students get tripped up on this section right here. What I tell them is answer the question. When you enter awards requirements, they ask you like who gave it to you and all these questions, just answer the questions. The reason why you said she had to mention the whole thing, because again, when you use acronyms, so you see up here she uses acronyms, be very careful, because again, a lot of the readers had no clue. Like I read like, what does that mean again? And I read down like, oh, okay. In that same context, she explained it once. Now, she doesn't need to explain it ever again. She can use the MSKCC throughout the rest of the prompt, and it makes sense there. Next section, you see right here, she added a number. Nationally ranked number 2. That's one of the biggest pro tips when it comes to the activity sections for you guys. Anytime you can put metrics, you want to put metrics. If you say, hey, I went and won a competition, I'm like, cool. How many people? Because if you won out of 2 people, that's cool, but it's not as cool as like I was the first out of 10,000 people. That's again putting context in everything. So this again, this place, Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, right? It's cool, sounds fancy, but to add context, hey, this is ranked number 2 in the nation. That's to give context a lot stronger that way, to put numbers, metrics in here. Same thing here. What you do to earn this award, April day, I did this, dedicate 2 months. Instead of saying, hey, I just spent time doing this, she gave us metrics and how long did it take her to do certain things. So that's kind of the big takeaway. So quick little tips: abuse the length of the award section. Metrics is big. Next one for her is she did a Northwell Health Medical Marvel competition. She just participated, right? Participation, this one as well too. So again, it doesn't have to be something super fancy. When you're trying to fill up 20 slots, it's hard to make everything sound amazing. For her, we filled in the main ones first. Then it was like, hey, what else did you do? What else did you do to fill up the rest of the 20 slots that we wanted to fill up? Because we do want to fill up, that's another pro tip, try to fill up as much of the 20 slots as possible. In here, look how many numbers she put. 38 school teams of 3 to 6 students were asked to boom. So you get as many metrics as possible there. What you do, or she was nominated by her classmates to do whatever it was there. Next one, what she do? National Honor Society. This is her role. She's slipping in the roles up there. Next one, award. What she do? She again maintain numbers. You see nonstop numbers. And that's probably the big thing. If I see a lot of seniors, I read your apps, I don't see a lot of numbers. That's a big red flag. Definitely include a bunch of numbers as best as you can, because again, that gives me context. That gives me context into the student. Again, you kind of want to compare, right? You want to compare you versus someone else. How do you do that? With numbers, with metrics. That's how you do that here. She did this Young Writers program, did this. You can see again, chosen 1 out of 126. Boom, look at that. More numbers. I can now visualize that. And for a lot of students who are asking like, hey, what if I don't know? What if I don't know how many people it is? So one, you can probably best guess is a thing. You can use a squiggle line, right? Squiggle roughly this number. Look up the data on the thing. So people do tout on like, we had 126 participants, and then you'll would know that way. That's kind of how I think she found out these. They touted how many people participated in these things. You can also just call the people up. Hey, I entered here. I'm doing my college apps. I need to put context. How many people applied? How many people did I win? And they'll tell you, or they'll give you their best guess, and you can go off of that. This one, Pirate Student of the Month. Again, it's one of those things she told me, it's not big. And I'm like, hey, throw it in there, right? If you didn't throw it in, I didn't know you were Student of the Month. That's her school. One of those academic teacher awards that they got for doing stuff. She says that. Next one, activities. So here's activities. We're starting activities now. Activities of the Future Health Professions Club. Again, could she put this in activity? I don't know. Maybe she had room or she didn't need to, right? Was elected co-president senior year / I wanted to help. Something she did here that you guys can take a peek at is you see how she uses this slash. And she did that because later on, she ran out of space to write the period space, whatever. So to save that extra space, she put a slash in between. The one tip that we had for her and for everyone else kind of copying that format is if you do that, you do it everything. Be very consistent with how you share the activities. You see here, right down here, accomplishment amongst grades / co-director. So everything's the same. Don't mix and match. Don't use slash for half of them. Don't use period space for half of them. Don't use hyphen for half of them. Whatever you end up using, try to be as consistent as possible. Again, attention to detail. What type of student do colleges kind of want at their school? So sharing that there, okay? But you see on here what activities you share, what grades you participate, and how long you participate in each one there. When you talk about acronyms, so she did SING, you can kind of infer what SING was, but you don't know. So what it is you always want to explain what it is so a reader who's not at your school can understand. That being said, though, readers read regionally. What that means, like for me, when I was a reader, I read a certain region of California. You guys know I read a very, very, very competitive area of California. That's why I'm so good at that certain area, because we know kind of what people are doing in that region. As a result, there's a few nuanced things that a certain region does that you kind of don't need to explain, but to be like good practice, always explain stuff. Assume the reader has no clue, because again, what if you have a new reader? They have no clue yet about certain things. So definitely you want to explain what these are. Okay. Next thing, Key Club. Talk about the program, international nonprofit, 1925. Look at that slash again. That's her thing. She was consistent with that throughout the entire prompt. That worked. Do you need that? I personally didn't like it. I like the period space to make it super clean. But again, for her, I thought there was like one or two prompts that like blurbs that we couldn't figure out how to tweak it. So we did all of them that way there. So international nonprofit, launching pad, blah, blah. Do an org, largest in-school club. This little tidbit of information gives the reader understanding of what it is. Again, this is more the context, because she could put a number here, but again, she can put a number, and I think she probably did in the description also, but it's also sharing this was the largest in the school. It's one of those context metrics is the kind of the big two themes so far you guys are seeing here. She also did cross. So you see here she's not like another one of those kind of creative solutions. Girls cross country, indoor, outdoor, track and field. These are technically different things. Those who do sports, these are different things that they do. However, she ran out of 20 slots, which again it's hard for a lot of people to do. But for her, she's one of our very ambitious students. So she does a lot of stuff. So what we can do is you could merge things together that are very related. So cross country, track is pretty related, right? There are different seasons, but they're related enough that she merged them both into the same activity, which is fair game. You can do that for sure. Next one, a hobby. This was not a formal activity that you guys define formal. In our program, I always say rethink activities is not what did you do? Think of it as how did you spend your time? For her, she didn't do photography. Like she wasn't part of photography club, I don't think, or to my knowledge, I don't remember. But she did enjoy it. That was part of her pastimes, as part of her things, and that made a huge deal for her. So for her, she did share that as a hobby. You can definitely include hobbies. If you guys have responsibilities, you can definitely include that as well. She did middle school. We redacted some information here. She did stuff with her school. Again, same thing from the age of this. I think she went back to help them out with stuff. She did this. She worked here. This is the same thing as before. What she did, she recruited from the essay competition, worked in NYC, DOE, founded, blah, blah, nonprofit, boom, boom. She worked here. She also did a global outreach club. Okay, club. You see how everything is very in sync. And she uses that slash a lot as being consistent. That's the biggest thing. And you can see also, you guys, I kind of redacted a bunch of it, but she pretty much used up, it's like pretty consistent in terms of space. She used up all the available space. Another pro tip for the activities and the applications, you want to fill up as much of the space as possible. Don't leave a lot of white space. You want to fill up as much as you can. It shouldn't be that hard to do it, especially if you enjoy the things that you're doing. You have like, it's usually the opposite. Like, oh man, I have too many words to talk about or too many characters. So that's that. Here's another program that she did. Again, you'll start seeing like she had to like cut down university because character limits on here. For us, it was one of those, what can cut out and still make sense? So you see, read this. You can anyone can kind of read this. It's all Columbia University, New York Presbyterian as well too, right? So you can still understand what that is. Kind of, yeah, what she did here. And that's student development and dual enrollment. Look at that. She dual enrolled even out of state. No excuses, everyone. No excuses. We helped her figure out. Every state, by the way, has their own version of iGetsy. We just helped her find hers at her state, and she took dual enrollment classes and she added that to her schedule, her activities, and she got appreciative and recognition of this and that, did Kiwanis, all this fun stuff. So that is her activities. Before we dive into her PIQs, I have something really funny I found. I want to share something with you guys. Super funny. I'm going to play a video. It's like 10 seconds long. Chloe, if they should work with Coach Tony or not.
I definitely recommend it. Definitely recommend it.
Super awesome. Cool.
He's going, oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, he's going to like tell you, like, he's going to do a walkthrough of the application with you, because I didn't know how to navigate it because none of my school counselors knew anything about the UCs. So he helped me with it, and he did every single section and he explained it thoroughly. So that really, really helped.
Cool. All right. Was that cool video or what, guys? Let's jump into PIQ mode. First PIQ. Someone's redacted. I'll go ahead and tell you guys the gist so you guys know. Again, with the PIQs, for those who are doing the PIQs right now, you pick 4 prompts. You talk about it if you haven't started yet. Not too late, but don't start with the prompts first. Start with the topics you're going to talk about first. Then you go back and find the prompts that you're going to use to talk about that thing. So for her, she talked about, this is, I think, makeup. So for her, makeup, she came up with makeup first, then makeup became, let's use prompt 2 to do that. Someone's asking you share the PIQs in full. I did a training a few weeks ago where I went through like multiple PIQs in live. Coach Chloe's app's epic, right? And she got into pretty much every school you can think of with the Ivies. A few weeks ago, I did a PIQ. I went through like 3 or 4 PIQs and like, here's what like word for word they are and good or bads. PIQ number 2 for her, she wrote crowd in the bathroom line, crowd in the bathroom line of costume design, costume dress girls stood before me, one after another. I did blah, blah, blah. My interest in cosmetics developed at a young age. My upbringing takes an enormous role. I don't wear makeup for vanity, but rather for empowerment, and it was a way to showcase my blah, blah. On this day, hours, I created a masterpiece, the top half of my whatever, as my outlet to surpass social norms and my former occupation growing up, makeup liberates. Okay, so big takeaways here is 1, she used a lot of I, me, my. Look at every single sentence so far. I, me, or my. That's the big thing. A lot of students are speaking in second person, third person when I'm reading these prompts. Huge red flag. Don't do that. Everything's about her. I did this. I did this. I did this. Quick summary so you guys know. She talked about doing makeup for her friends in middle school. Then she talked about her interest in cosmetics in relationship with her religious community. She talked about her empowerment and how she felt, her makeup movement, and her viewpoint and how makeup affects her life. You can kind of see that. But the biggest thing to keep in mind is not about makeup, right? A lot of people who like to talk about whatever the thing is, that's not the true impact. The impact, is on who she is, how it affects her. That's the big takeaway. So when you're talking about stuff, the topic you can come up with, that's a topic. But when you're writing these, right, you go deep. We got to figure out, like, cool, why is that important to us? That's what we dig down deep to figure out that core root there. Next prompt, what's your greatest talent or skill? How you develop that talent or time? For her, I just got to read this then. As a many only child can relate, don't you wish I had a brother? I didn't like that first line. I don't like quotes is why I told her, but she got in, so I'm not going to be mad. I used to not think about, as I've matured, I've come to wonder my parents had just pushed, again, a lot of eyes here, right? Being in my high school, my parents worked long hours and couldn't drive me to and from school. She talked more about her parents here, nearing sharing toys, nor sharing my parents, whatever reason that kept me from doing whatever. So in this prompt, she talked about being an only child. She talked about the family life growing up. She talked about her goals and motivation, talked about family situation and how she viewed this in her life. The big piece about here is that she didn't talk about family being the focal point. She used the family situation to talk about her. That's the big thing when you talk about like families, teachers, parents or anyone, keep you as the focus, right? That's what she did. She kept herself as the focus, not the other person itself. Okay. Prompt number 5, this guy have the most significant challenge faced and how it overcame, how it affected her academic achievement. She grew up in Catholic school in whatever the area was, with the same 60 students from the age of 3 to blank, overwhelmed by diversity of 4,000 students. She talked about, I think she switched to a different school. Introvert self was nerve-wracked, and this is who she is, was nerve-wracked by this. For the first month of school, I monitored from my art teacher who I was afraid to sit alone at lunch, see my progress to journaling, help me overcome my obstacles. I'm still whatever it is, right? So again, talk about where she grew up, talk about her sense of community, how diverse you can kind of see from going from a small school to a mega big school, and how that affected who she is, right? Her personality change and how she transitioned from A to B, or from identity 1 to identity 2. Again, at the same time, you can't read all of it, but you can still kind of see that a lot of it is still is about her, seeing her growth. Even though you saw the first sentence only, you can kind of see that she's growing. She's from sentence 1 to the end, she grew from someone from a small school, close-knit people, massive, nobody, like, you don't know anyone, and then from someone who's scared to sit alone to having a teacher help her to go through obstacles. Understanding who the student is, that's gonna be the biggest thing here. PIQ number 4, her fourth PIQ is PIQ number 6. Think about an academic subject that inspires you. This guy here first interest inside or outside the classroom. Inclusion freshman, you have to choose an active, have to commit to for blank. First day was a rocky start between me and the teacher, but the eagerness to change. The academic subject emphasized these core values. First was occupation in healthcare. The physical assistant occupation was blank. To further my interest, I took courses on psychology, sociology, and nutrition, whether applying and from clinical to research. I have med tech to think. So I think for her is, she talked about TV shows. I think she referenced like Grey's Anatomy and stuff in her shots. That's kind of what me and her connected on during our coaching calls, as like whatever happened in Grey's Anatomy that week does that. And then her subject about like learning stuff, this is a learning inside outside classroom. So she first started inside the classroom, then right, the subject taught Chloe about herself, then she applied that to hands-on in the field itself and what caused her to want to do more, and how her activities are kind of tied into this as well. Someone asked what her major was. She became a doctor, or she's becoming a doctor. She's something in the med space right now. She's at Cornell, she's finishing up Cornell. Big thing to keep in mind, again, the big takeaways that you guys can apply to your own kids, or if you're the student, right, for you, all about eyes. Every sentence was about her and her growth, and not just a surface level thing. We went deep and talked about who it is. I have confidence that if she didn't want to be a doctor and want to be anything else, she'd be super successful doing anything else that she wanted to do, because I know who she is as a person, not really kind of what she did there. Right? So that's something to keep in mind when it comes to her PIQs. If you guys are interested, Chloe went through a program. She did it. She got into her top schools. If you guys are interested in seeing if we can help, my invitation for you guys, if you guys are willing to accept it, book a free 15-minute chat with our team, www.ucadmissionseekers.com/strategy. Book a free 15-minute chat. On that call, we just ask you a few questions, give you guys some recommendations, and that's pretty much it. No sales pitches, no sales on this call. I just want to see if we can help you guys out first. If you guys do want to continue and say, hey, let's keep talking, and we can set up a follow-up call, talk about our programs. We'll figure out what's a good fit based on your budget, based on what you guys are looking for. Our coaching programs, you guys know, so nothing comes as a shock. It's between 3 to 8K. But we do something special called lifetime pricing, meaning if you are a junior right now, you get 2 years in our program. If you are a sophomore as a freshman, you get 4 years in our program. The group that gets the biggest bang for the buck are middle school families. You get up to 5, 6, 7 years potentially inside our program for all the same price. So a 6th grader will pay the same price as a 9th grader, same price as an 11th grader, same price as a 12th grader as well too. We keep it very simple, keep the pricing simple, so we don't focus on being accountants. Our focus is to help your kids get into their top choice schools there. Oh, Black Friday, for anyone who hasn't received their email, or if you want to go ahead and text me 949-832-6472, especially seniors. If you're 2024 and you're not a coaching family yet, we have a special Black Friday offer just for you guys that is time sensitive. Means the longer it goes, the less opportunity it feels like. Do UCs ask for evidence of activities and awards that put you into the application, or do they accept you based on what you have? They accept you based on what you have. All the UC app is self-reported. Same thing with a lot of other UC Common App and all the schools. The activities are all self-reported. You sign an integrity agreement at the last page or something saying, hey, everything I'm submitting is accurate. It's true. I did not lie. If you lied, that's bad. Do they check? They do. So there is a group of people, it's like 1% or like 0.5, some really, really small number. there is a team because I know them. They fact check a random post, like the IRS audited that way. So people do fact check a few students out of random just to do protocol. They assume everything's true because you told them it's true. So that's the thing there. Do you keep up with admission office, see if any changes are reading? Have things not changed since the pandemic? That's a great question. All my friends are admission readers at all the schools. A few months ago, 2 months ago, if you guys go back in our Facebook group a few months ago, I actually went to training with the UCs, UC readers a few weeks, months, weeks. It's a while back. So our group usually finds out before the actual industry finds out about all the new changes and stuff, a lot of the new majors that are being offered for each year and everything else. I have this really comprehensive doc. I forgot where it is, by the way, so don't ask me right now. But our team probably knows. But we have a list of every single change to the majors over the last few years. Schools that create new departments, schools that has new features, data, facts on data of the things every single year. The answer is yes, we keep in touch with all the stuff. The real answer is no, nothing has really changed. Admissions as a whole has pretty much stayed stagnant. Everyone just looks at the wrong things. A lot of parents look at the wrong thing because your parents are listening to other parents. And I tell them, stop it. One of the first things I tell our coaching families is, well, number one rule, stop listening to other people, right? Listen to us and you're fine. But when parents listen to other parents, that's when kind of chaos happens. So don't do that as well. But for the most part, admissions hasn't changed because my advice hasn't changed for like 15 years now. It's the same advice. Any advice on major selection when applying? Yeah, here's 2 answers for you. One, do the one that makes sense, okay? Because it has to make sense with your application. Like, for example, every class you took in school was a math or computer science class. Your activities was all computer stuff, coding, robotics, and everything. And you say, hey, I want to be a history major. Kind of odd, a little odd that way. So again, unless there's a really good reason why you picked that, it doesn't make sense. As a reader, things have to make sense there too. That being said, again, too, realistic. The realistic answer is that 99.9% of you guys who are here live, your kids will not have a clue what they want to do, or they think they do. They're very sold, they're very brainwashed, and then I'm going to do this. Once they go to college, they switch out. So when you guys, some parents who like send their kids off and just see them again in graduation, you're like, wait, I sent you to college for this major. Now you're this major. That's super, super common in today's world. Because again, in high school, you don't know enough about the world to say, I want to commit to learning about this for the rest of my life. That's not yet. Even college graduates still have no clue what they want to do the rest of their life also. So our realistic answer for you is don't worry too much. The major is kind of just what you like to study at that time when you're between 18 and 22. Do people, like most of my friends, do stuff nothing related to their major? I'm sure parents, some of you guys who went to college, if you think about what you did now, completely opposite. So what I always tell families, as for high schoolers, you won't know what you want to do. However, I do think you kind of have a direction. Right? At least the direction is going to help you kind of gauge. Then college, right? The beauty of college over high school, college lets you take a bunch of random classes, a bunch of random fields. Do that. Take advantage of all the different kind of classes. Like take fun ones. I tell students, hey, if you can graduate early, just take fun classes. You never know. Like if I was to go back to college right now, I'd be a sociology major. I took a social class my last year and I didn't know how fun that class was. So it's one of those, like, again, just try it. Even whatever you are, very, very few times does your major and career correlate. For the most part, the only time it is correlated is if you're an engineer. So engineers pretty much know they want to be engineers. That's the only thing. I've never met an engineer who wasn't an engineering major. However, for every other career field out there, this is my 15 years of sending students to college, sending students after stuff, and seeing how life works with everyone. Most people do not, like, so some do, but a lot don't end up the same career major kind of pathway. So hopefully that helps. If we have 2 present volunteer, can you put in 2 spots or combine 2 options? If you're short activities, I would say let's split them, because again, we want to max out the 20 spots as possible. Split them. If you don't have the spots, combine them. So for example, for the Common App, if you're applying to private schools, there's only 10 slots. We'd probably combine those for the Common App because we want to like save spaces as much as possible. That being said, it's kind of a bad answer because for the Common App, there's a section specifically for awards. So that's probably a bad example there. But I would split it if you need to fill up the 20 slots, because the filling up does kind of, I would say, play a little bigger role. But if you are running, like for example, Chloe ran out of slots, you can kind of saw that she started merging stuff, and that's a fair thing to merge. She had a lot of dance championships and titles. Should you list each one, dedicate how people compete against? Exactly, 100%. Like, again, giving those metrics is huge. What about cap majors, undeclared? Do they hurt your admissions, hurt your chances for admission? So hurt is not the right word to think about. So cap majors, what cap majors are is that these are the impacted, these are the majors that a lot of people are going to. And for a lot of schools, it's usually like 8 majors that everyone wants to do. Like half the school wants to apply for 8 to 10 majors. It depends. So the answer to that depends on the school and how they do admissions. So for example, even within the UCs, there's 2 types of UCs. There's schools that admit by college and there's schools that admit by major. Example, Berkeley admits by college. So even if you picked, let's say, a bio major, right? You pick a bio major, you're not really applying as a bio major. You're applying under the college that bio is housed under, which again, could be letters of science, could be CNR, could be a bunch of different majors, depending on the major you're picking. Schools like UCI admits by major. So that's a different story. For that, you're applying, this is bio, let's use a bio example, because bio is impacted. You're competing against all the other bio kids, is pretty much what that is. If that's what you want to do, it makes sense to do that, right? I don't know why people pick random majors just to get in. Undeclared, same answer. Undeclared actually is a major for certain schools. So it falls under, some schools have an undeclared college, some schools have an undeclared major under different colleges. Some people, UCI, undeclared is an impacted major. So it's kind of funny. It's super funny to say that. But yeah, so it's that. So again, you're competing against all the other kids who are kind of confused and not sure what they want to do. Going back to my previous thing, it has to make sense. Meaning, are you truly undeclared? Do you truly not know what you want to do? That's the biggest kind of thing there, okay? Is it too bad to rely on hobbies? Introvert who had a hard time getting involved in formal clubs. There's the academics, shows you smartness, right? Smartness, rigor, all that stuff. There's activities, how you spend your time. There's also the application, the written components. So with the written components, again, everyone's different. Everyone's a human. We're not robots. We're not like, pick 2 of the 3 activities and do that, right? It's like we do things the way we do things. So the question is why? Why did we do the things that way? The college want to understand that. If, let's say, you're an introvert, hard to get into formal clubs, cool, right? A lot of our kids also introverted, hard to get into formal clubs. So for us, like, cool, you still like stuff, right? You still do stuff. Let's find things to get involved with. Like for them, for me, for those who know me really well, I love Pokemon. I have a, check this out. Look how cute this is. So cute as Dragonite, guys. Love Pokemon is one. Love pro wrestling. For those who know me, that's a championship belt back there. Love pro wrestling. How are those 2 things useful in my life is the question. And the answer is that for you guys, you're like, oh, no, it's not. But for me, I'm like, it's huge. It's huge for me. I love watching wrestling. I love playing Pokemon. I love collecting Pokemon cards. That's how I like debrief. It's how I enjoy things. Again, so for people, it might not mean a lot, but for me, it's a lot. Also, like, for example, let's dive a little deeper. It's okay with you guys. Pokemon. Why I like Pokemon so much, pretty much now. Growing up, my parents, those know my story, so you guys know this. This part of it is like, my parents couldn't afford a lot, right? My parents couldn't afford a lot. So I always wanted things, but I never got to enjoy or do things. So for me, Pokemon is one of the things now that I have a little extra money, every few months, I buy like a Pokemon pack and I open it. Again, it's different, but I never had that growing up. So for me, it means way more to me than, again, a lot of students, a lot of the kids who grew up, who had the luxury to do that. Not saying it's good, bad, but for me, that's a little different. Pro wrestling, for those who know my story, pro wrestling, right? I got into pro wrestling because of my grandma. My grandma, huge, love her. My grandparents were my biggest supporters, I would say, growing up. So growing up, my grandma and I, we'd always watch wrestling. So that's my like, get to like enjoy my time with grandma. And now like, I don't have them anymore. It's more like think back and kind of think about the memories there. So again, for a lot of you guys, it might not mean whatever. For me, it's really big. Growing up, I remember sitting in the living room with me and grandma. She don't speak English. So then she like, you guys know John Cena? Yeah, everyone knows John Cena, right? He always wears shorts. So she called him short legs in Vietnamese. So whenever she has short legs, and I'm like, John Cena. It's an inside joke with me and her. That, again, for you guys might not mean a lot, but for me it did. But you see how I explained that to you if I wrote that on my college apps and have you guys understand the same level of impact and passion I did that. That's how it makes it strong. That's it for me, guys. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for sticking around. I'll chat with you guys soon. Bye.